Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans chapter 12, verse 2, like a guiding light, beckons us to a transformative journey, one that leads us away from conformity and into the blossoming of our true selves. Fellow seekers of truth, have you ever felt the weight of society's expectations pressing upon your shoulders? Have you found yourself navigating a world where acceptance often seems tied to conformity? Today, we stand in the midst of a clamor, a world filled with opinions, norms, and a persistent quest for validation. Think about it. Day after day, we wrestle with the desire to fit in, to gain approval, to mold ourselves into shapes dictated by societal molds. From the cradle to the grave, we're bombarded by standards that demand compliance, often leaving us teetering on the edge of self-doubt and uncertainty. Let me be frank. I've been there, standing in the shadows of uncertainty, questioning my worth in the eyes of the world. I've grappled with moments of self-doubt, wondering if I'll ever be enough in the eyes of society. But here's the revelations. Strength doesn't spring forth from conformity. No, it's born from an unyielding faith that transcends the noise of conformity and embraces divine guidance. We're all too familiar with the haunting echoes of insecurity, seeking validation from fleeting sources, likes, shares, opinions, and fleeting praise. Yet, in this pursuit, we often find ourselves adrift, losing the anchor of our own worthiness.
But here's where the winds of change blow, a spiritual revelation that speaks to our hearts. The scriptures echo with wisdom, teaching us to seek validation not from the ever-shifting sands of societal opinion, but from the steadfast love of the divine. Our worth is not measured by the fleeting applause of the world, but by the unwavering love and acceptance that God offers freely. In this realm, we find solace and strength, recognizing that our validation comes not from how well we fit into molds crafted by society, but from how deeply we embrace the authenticity of our true selves, rooted in the embrace of God's unconditional love. Remember, dear friends, in a world clamoring for conformity, we are called to stand tall, to break free from the shackles of societal expectation, and to find our true validation in the arms of the divine. Let's delve into the reservoir of faith and unearth a story that resonates deeply with our own inner conflicts. The tale of Abraham, a man that stood at the crossroads of societal norms and inner conviction. Consider his journey, called to leave behind the familiar, to defy the expectations of his time, to forge a path guided not by the world's dictates, but by an unwavering trust in the divine. His story encapsulates the conflict between societal pressures and the courage to follow one's inner compass. In our daily lives, we grapple with similar dilemmas, navigating a world where conformity seems the norm, where societal expectations dictate the course of our actions. How often do we find ourselves torn between what's expected and what feels right?
Abraham's faith serves as a beacon, illuminating our path through these tumultuous waters, encouraging us to anchor ourselves in our convictions despite the storms of conformity around us. Reflect upon moments when the clamor of external validation drowned the whispers of our inner convictions. How often have we veered from our path to conform, forsaking our authenticity for societal acceptance? I challenge each of us, myself included, to embark on a journey of introspection. Let us ponder these questions. Have we allowed the world's opinions to overshadow our own truths? Have we sacrificed our authenticity at the altar of conformity? You see, faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about finding the courage to embrace the questions, to walk through the uncertainty with unwavering hope. Imagine facing unfathomable circumstances, times when life throws at us the unexpected, the bewildering. We're plunged into emotional turmoil, facing moral quandaries that leave us questioning everything we thought we knew. It's in these moments that doubt creeps in, whispering in our ears, testing the very foundation of our beliefs. And what about doubt amidst extraordinary events? When faced with situations that defy explanation, events that challenge what society deems normal, it's natural to doubt when our understanding is shaken to its core. We grapple with uncertainty because it stretches the limits of our comprehension. But let me tell you, doubt isn't the enemy of faith. It's a companion. It's through doubt that we're challenged to deepen our understanding, to seek the truths that resonate within us. Doubt is the chisel that sculpts our faith into something real, something tested and refined.
We all face moments of struggling with faith in the unknown. It's part of being human. Think about it. How do we grapple with events that are beyond our grasp? How do we reconcile our beliefs with the perplexing nature of inexplicable events? It's in these moments of internal conflict that our faith truly shines. It's when we wrestle with our beliefs that they become more than just words. They become anchors in the storm, guiding us through the darkest nights. Confronting social stigma, it's like this weight we carry, the fear of judgment, the pressure to fit into society's mold. But you know what? Sometimes the most courageous thing we can do is defy those norms and stand firm in our beliefs. Let's talk about that fear. The fear of being judged, of not meeting society's expectations. It's heavy, isn't it? We're pushed to conform, to fit in, and going against the grain feels like swimming against a strong current. But what if I told you that's where real courage lies? It's in those moments when we choose authenticity over acceptance. Think about the times you've faced societal pressure. Maybe it was in the way you chose to live, love, or believe. Remember those moments when you had to decide, conform, or have the courage to be true to yourself. Those moments are defining. They shape who we are and what we stand for. Choosing courage over conformity isn't easy. It's messy, it's challenging. But let me tell you, it's worth it. It's in those moments of standing tall against societal norms that we find our true strength, our authentic selves.
My friends, today, I urge you to embrace uncertainties in life with faith and empathy. Embrace the doubts, the confusion, and yes, even the social stigma. Because it's in these moments that our faith isn't just a belief, it's a revolutionary act of courage. We seek nods of affirmation, applause, and recognition. But today, let's delve into a different realm, a realm where the ultimate applause, the applause of heaven, reigns supreme. The words from 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3 beckon us to a profound understanding. As for me, it matters very little how I might be evaluated by you or by any human authority. I don't even trust my own judgment on this point. In essence, it's not about seeking the applause of the world. It's not about being on the stage where society places its stars. It's about embracing a different kind of recognition, a recognition that transcends time and societal norms. The applause of heaven, a concept so profound yet beautifully simple. Our purpose isn't to chase after the fleeting affirmations of society, but to seek the enduring and unwavering approval of God. It's living in such a way that our actions, thoughts, and endeavors resonate with His purpose. Seeking human approval often leads to a life of comparison and competition. We measure our worth against the yardstick of others' opinions. Yet seeking God's approval is liberating. It means acknowledging our unique paths, understanding that our journey is not a race against others, but a walk in tandem with God's calling for us. Think about the times when societal expectations have clashed with your inner calling. How often have we felt torn between following our heart's conviction and conforming to the world's standards?
It's in those moments that the true essence of seeking God's approval shines brightest. It's the courage to take a stand, to walk on a path that might seem unconventional, but resonates with the very core of who we are, a path aligned with God's purpose for our lives. In today's world, we encounter pressures that test our faith. Our culture sometimes whispers compromise as an easier path. We grapple with ethical dilemmas that challenge our moral compass. Standing firm in convictions amid societal norms is no easy feat. But consider this: our resilience mirrors theirs. When we hold fast to our beliefs, we become beacons of hope and light in a world that often dwells in shadows. Enduring trials can lead to significant impact. It's when we stand tall amidst storms that our impact resonates beyond measure. Our trials refine us, shaping us into vessels for greater purpose and influence. Yet it takes courage to stand firm. The importance of this courage cannot be overstated. The courage to face criticism, opposition, and the daunting pressures of the world for the sake of our faith is a hallmark of our devotion. In Joshua chapter 1 verse 9, we find reassurance. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. These words echo through time, empowering us to stand boldly, rooted in God's promises. Above all, our reliance rests on God. Trusting His guidance, seeking His approval above the world's applause, grants us unwavering strength. It's in surrendering to His will that we find the ultimate courage.
Let's reflect on our readiness. Are we prepared to face criticism and opposition in our pursuit of living for God's purpose? Are we willing to prioritize God's approval over the world's fleeting affirmations? Let's talk about surrender. Surrender often gets a bad rap in our society. It's seen as giving up or losing control. But when we surrender to God's will, something extraordinary happens. Think of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. It wasn't by his strength alone that they crossed the Red Sea. It was through surrendering to God's plan that miracles unfolded. Consider Gideon, who triumphed with a small army against insurmountable odds. His victory didn't come from a massive force or elaborate strategy. It came from surrendering to God's guidance, even when it seemed illogical. Surrender doesn't mean weakness. It's an act of incredible strength. It's saying, I trust in something greater than myself. It's handing over the reins to the Almighty, knowing that His plan far exceeds our own. Now, embracing God's calling amidst uncertainty. Oh, what a challenge that can be. We've all faced moments when the path ahead seems foggy, unclear. But friends, answering God's call often means taking that first step without seeing the entire staircase. Think of Peter stepping out onto the water to meet Jesus. His doubts didn't disappear, but his faith overcame them, if only for a moment. When God calls, He doesn't always provide a detailed roadmap. Instead, He asks for our trust, our faith. It's about taking that leap, even when the destination isn't crystal clear. Because in those moments, our faith becomes the bridge between uncertainty and divine assurance.
Friends, surrendering to God's will and embracing His call, these aren't just historical stories. They're invitations for us today. They're reminders that our lives, like those of Moses, Gideon, Abraham, and Peter, can be transformed when we surrender our plans to the divine and step forward. Even when the path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about taking that first step even when the staircase ahead seems shrouded in mist. The Israelites journeyed through the wilderness. They didn't have Google Maps or a GPS, just faith. Esther too stepped into uncertainty for the sake of her people. Trusting God step by step, now that's faith. Ever felt like your actions are too small to matter? Remember the widow's mite. That tiny offering caught Jesus' attention. Or Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. Philip obeyed God's nudge to speak to one person, and it led to the spread of the gospel. Small acts of obedience can have huge ripple effects we might never fully see. Choosing God often means standing against the tide. Elijah stood firm against the prophets of Baal, showing that being on God's side is the ultimate victory. And Paul, despite opposition, never stopped spreading the gospel. That kind of courage, to choose God's path over society's opinions, that's something we all can aspire to. Living for God's approval isn't always easy. It requires courage, faith, and trust. But let's remember, it's the most rewarding applause we could ever seek. So, as we navigate this journey together, let's take those steps, honor God, and embrace His applause above all else.
Sometimes prioritizing God's direction over societal pressures might seem unconventional. It might not align with what's trending, what's deemed acceptable by the masses. Yet it's in these moments that our faith is tested. The test of whether we're willing to surrender to His wisdom, even when it goes against the grain. Consider this. When we chase after human approval, we often find ourselves dancing to a tune that changes with every passing moment. Seeking validation from people becomes a maze with no end, leading to exhaustion and disappointment. But aiming to please God, though challenging, offers a steady compass, a guiding light that never flickers or fades. We're bombarded daily with pressures to conform, pressures to please everyone. But in this pursuit, we risk losing our true selves, our authenticity in living out God's purpose for us. Striving to meet the ever-changing expectations of others leaves us feeling hollow, constantly chasing an elusive validation that never satisfies. It's time for a shift, a paradigm change. Living for God's approval alone liberates us from the chains of societal expectations. It allows us to live authentically, to embrace our unique purpose without the suffocating weight of trying to fit into someone else's mold. Friends, surrendering to divine guidance isn't about an easy journey devoid of challenges. It's about making a choice, the choice to prioritize God's direction over the noise of the world. It's a choice to embrace authenticity, to seek the pleasure of the one who knows us best. Today, let's reflect on our choices. Are we living to please everyone around us, or are we authentically living for the approval of our Creator?
It's time to let go of the need for human validation and embrace the freedom found in surrendering to divine guidance. As we do, we'll discover a peace that surpasses understanding and a joy that fills our souls. Imagine this, shedding the weight of societal expectations like an old coat, stepping into the liberating light of Jesus. There's immense freedom in letting go of the shoulds and musts dictated by the world. Surrendering to Christ isn't about losing control. It's about gaining a new, profound freedom. The freedom to be authentically you, the you God intended. We're all familiar with the pressures, the relentless tug of societal norms, urging us to conform, fit in, measure up. But here's the twist. True joy, the kind that resonates deep within, emerges when seeking God's approval over the applause of society. It's in this space that contentment and peace find their home. Think about it. The pursuit of God's approval brings a joy that transcends the fleeting accolades of the world. It's a joy rooted in an unshakable foundation, where our worth isn't tethered to society's measuring stick, but is firmly secured in God's love. What if we started seeking joy in pleasing God alone? Picture a life where the applause of heaven matters more than the fleeting nods of the world. It's a paradigm shift, a perspective makeover that redefines our pursuit of happiness. In the end, it all boils down to prioritizing obedience to God's commands above the pressures of society. It's a call to action, a beckoning to live in alignment with God's will rather than conforming to the world's standards.
Friends, take a moment to reflect. When did you feel the tug between societal expectations and God's calling? Share your insights, your challenges, for in our shared experiences, we find strength and encouragement. As we close, let's be thankful. Grateful for the grace that allows us to surrender, for the joy found in seeking God's approval. Let's join our hearts in prayer, asking for guidance as we navigate this journey of surrender and joy. May we find the courage to surrender, the wisdom to seek God's applause, and the joy that transcends worldly measures. Divine Creator, in this moment of reflection and gratitude, we bow before you, humbled by the grace that fills our lives. We're thankful for the journey that guides us away from conformity, allowing us to blossom into our authentic selves. As we navigate this world's pressures, we're grateful for the wisdom that speaks to our hearts, teaching us to seek validation not from fleeting opinions, but from your unwavering love. Grant us the strength to resist the weight of societal expectations, to stand tall in the face of conformity. Help us embrace our true selves, rooted in the embrace of your unconditional love. As we journey through doubts, uncertainties, and moments of internal conflict, instill in us the courage to embrace the questions and the unwavering hope to navigate through uncertainties. Guide us, O Lord, as we face trials that test our faith. May we find resilience in surrendering to your will, understanding that true strength lies in trusting something greater than ourselves.
In our pursuit of your approval over societal applause, grant us the clarity to discern your calling amidst the clamor of the world. Help us choose authenticity, even when it means going against the grain. May we find joy in seeking your approval alone, knowing that it brings a contentment that transcends worldly measures. Grant us the wisdom to prioritize obedience to your commands above the pressures of society. As we embark on this journey, may your guidance be our compass, your love our anchor, and your joy our strength. In your name we pray, Amen. Thank you deeply for walking alongside us until this moment. Your steadfast presence and commitment mean the world to us, beyond what words can capture. If these words have touched your heart, please share an Amen in the comments. Join us on this extraordinary journey by following our channel and becoming part of something truly meaningful. Your time, attention, and support have meant everything to us.